to come in so we could sort of hear those comments and conversations?
The transparency that we have as a branch of government is in our written opinions. That tells you how we think. But sometimes the discussions can get rather colorful because we're not in there to agree. Sometimes we're in there to disagree. But we talk about all the cases, and we go down the line, and that's where a lot of the people wonder why we hear cases every other week. Well, it's because there's so much reading involved and so much preparation for those.
We'll be right back with Pastor Matthew Watts after this quick break. But before we go, let me remind you that you can watch this show, many of our old shows, and our web extras online, statejournal.com, or the website of your favorite West Virginia media station. Just click on the Decision Makers tab.
We now return to Decision Makers.
Welcome back. In just a few days, our country is going to make history when we officially swear in our first black president. It's a day that, quite frankly, many of us thought we would never see. And to offer his take is one of West Virginia's most respected civil rights voices, Pastor Matthew Watts of the Grace Bible Church in Charleston. Welcome back, Pastor. We're always glad to have you back on here. And I guess here we are, getting ready to swear in a black president, and the civil rights movement all succeeded, no more problems, and no more civil rights problems in America.
Well, I think that's a slight overstatement. You know, I think we made a lot of progress, and I think that this symbolic, momentous occasion is important because it has demonstrated that America is taking a step forward in the fulfillment, the dream of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, that people will be judged by the content of their character and rather by the color of their skin. But I don't think that we've totally out of the woods yet with some of our issues regarding race and equal opportunity.
But you and I grew up during the same era, and I do think it's a pretty momentous mark in American history that we were able to put aside a lot of prejudices that had haunted this country for years and generations. And clearly, I mean, you had two very good men running, and Barack carried the day. Well,
again, I think it is a momentous occasion. It is significant. It is indeed historic. However, the majority, of whites did not vote for Barack Obama. Now, he won an overwhelming majority of the African American vote, 98% or whatever, something like that, and a very high percentage of the Latino Hispanic group. But he didn't win the majority of whites, and he didn't fare too well in West Virginia. So we have made a lot of progress, and that's really good. And it's good that with two good candidates, I really think the people have vetted the candidates, and almost all blacks voted for Obama and a significant number of whites. But this creates a unique opportunity, I believe, to see if we can take another step forward toward racial reconciliation and healing, and also toward a society that is more equitable and more just.
One of the things that's going to occur, it seems to me, that over the next 4 or 8 years, depending on how it all plays out politically, the leader of America is going to be a black man. Mm-hmm. And when Americans turn on their television sets during these moments of crisis that undoubtedly come in every presidency, we're going to be looking at a very respected and trusted black man, and that I think psychologically will really help our future generations to really tear down some of these artificial barriers that have really held people back.
Yeah, I think that America we'll be looking at an African American man that has demonstrated a tremendous level of intelligence, tremendous amount of political skill and savvy, and that they feel comfortable with because he has proven himself in this crucible that we call the political process. And I think that's helpful. I think it's helpful for America to see people of different ethnicities that are competent, that are professional, that have mastered, amounts of information, and give people a comfort level that this person, is competent to do the job. That's helpful because that's the way you distill stereotypes.
Right.
You distill stereotypes with a mastery, with competence, and with excellence. And I think that will be helpful to help some Americans view African Americans and other minority groups in a different light than what they've done in the past.
One of the things, my observation, in the weeks since he's been elected and now he's getting ready, he has come in and shown unbelievable savvy in picking people and bringing together and moving to the middle and really becoming America's leader. And he's also starting, it's interesting because he's already starting to run into political roadblocks that every president ultimately faces, but he's moving very quickly but very smartly, in my opinion, of what he's done.
I think that Obama proved during his candidacy and proved during his campaign his skill, his insight, his savvy, his temperament, and his ability to surround himself with excellent people. When you are competent yourself, then you're not intimidated by surrounding yourself with the most competent people. Some who may be smarter than you, more intelligent, but you know how to put them together in a team, and I think that's what he's demonstrating. But he has some tremendous challenges.
Well, but one thing I will say, just my own experience, is I see him as our president, and I don't see him as our black president. And I mean, I thought of that as we were talking. Is he's just acting as a human being, and you know, and one person told me a long time ago, Boy Scout camp, I was with the first black person in Philmont, New Mexico, and he said, I said something about you all, and he said, well, until you stop calling me you all, we got a problem. And at least for me, I think I've sort of crossed that line a little bit. So.
That's wonderful.
What is, do you think, the biggest challenge facing blacks in West Virginia?
I think the biggest challenge facing blacks in West Virginia is getting the majority group to legitimize the problems and the pathology faced by the African American community. And some of those problems, not all, but some of those problems have their root in the historic racism and the denial of opportunity. So it manifests itself in lack of economic opportunity, lack of employment opportunity. The schools where many blacks live are very low performing schools. And so I think getting people to realize that these are some major issues. And then get them to understand that if we can address these issues, that we can create economic development. See, that's what I see. When I look at poor people, black or white, I say if we can get these people educated, get the skills in their hands to make them competitive in the workforce, then that's a wise investment to make, because now they can be contributors to the state's tax base and a part of the workforce. And that's a challenge that African Americans face.
All right, well, we're going to do some extra on the internet if you'll stay with us.
Sure.
We're going to do that, but thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more on Decision Makers after this break.